friends. Today I will start another module, module 6, that is group leadership. We have talked about different aspects of group behavior based on different terminologies. Today I will talk about group leadership and how it influences group behavior, how the group is sometimes structured or restructured based on a different kind of leadership style, and what kind of leadership is more effective in what kind of situation. So, before I get into the details of this module, so I will try to focus in the first instance as what is leadership. So, even small influence on the other person can make great amount of change on the other person and the situation, and we can say that the person is influential. But if a particular person in the group exercises that influence over the group, then that is a leader. So, there is a thin line difference between being an influencer or being a leader. A person who is influential can have some impact on the other person in one or the other way, but there can be a person who possesses that quality or trait that he or she can exercise that influence in long run on a group of people, and that person is known as a leader of the group. So, therefore, a leader is an individual within a group or an organization who wields the most influence over the others. And the process whereby one individual influences other group members towards the attainment of common goal is defined as leadership. Now, if we are using this term a process, then definitely leadership is a process, because in that process a leader is being designated, a leader knows and is well versed with the common objectives and goals of the group. The leader is interacting with the group members in one or the particular way to convince the members that how a policy or strategy should be followed towards the attainment of common goal, and how members can be motivated or influenced towards decision making. So, according to James Cribbin, leadership is a process of influence on a group in a particular situation at a given point of time and in specific set of circumstances that stimulates people to strive willingly to attain organizational objectives, giving them the experience of helping attain the common objectives and satisfaction with the type of leadership involved. So, it is a process of providing focus and direction to a specific group of people. Now, this focus and direction can only be offered to the people when there is interaction, when there is common goal, and how policies and strategies are being formulated while taking consideration about the group of the people. So, group leadership often involves facilitating and guiding the actions of a group participant as well as accepting responsibility for the outcome of the group's efforts, because guidance is being provided by the leader and the members are very much dependent on the leader's guidance and support and directives. So, this becomes leader's responsibility to bear the outcome, whether it is profit or loss. So, when we are talking about leadership process, then this process involves some major elements. It is first of all is that it is a process of influencing the behavior of the followers. It involves interaction between the leader and the follower, and it implies pursuit of common goals in the interest of individuals as well as the group as a whole. That means that when the influence is being exercised by the group member, then every member is being considered at personal level and at professional level, and at the same time at the level of achieving the common goal of the organization. So, leadership is related to a situation. Any member who has been designated with the leadership position, then that person as a leader tries to modify his own strategy and policies and procedures to get the task done or attain the common goal based on the situation, and then only that leader is called as an effective leader. So, if all these features or elements are existing in the process, that means influence is there, interaction is there, pursuit of common goal is there, and pursuit of common goal is being achieved as per the situation, then we can say that leadership is effective. Next comes that what characters do great leaders possess. Now, every person has some specific characteristics that are dominant in his or her behavior, and if those traits are being exercised in the leadership process, then that leadership tends to be effective. So, social scientists have identified certain leadership styles which are or certain leadership traits which are possessed by the leader, and how those traits are being used at the workplace for the attainment of common goals. So, the first trait or characteristics is drive. That means there is a high desire for achievement, motivation and initiative. The leader takes the initiative to achieve the common goal. One person has to be that much energetic, or one person is there in the group who is energetic and achievement oriented to work for the common goal. The other is honesty and integrity. Trust is there, open mindedness is there and reliability is there. Followers can depend on the leader based on these characteristics, that is trustworthy, reliable and open. The other is coordination. The leader reconciles the individual and common objectives. That means every member has some personal goals also, and at the same time the common organizational goal. So, the leader should have the ability to reconcile the personal goals of the members and the organization goals in a way that both the goals can be achieved, and the leader can resolve the internal conflicts and creates community of interest in the group. Now, even when the common goal is there, members can face some kind of conflict with each other, and definitely when group is there, then there is conflict of interest also, because people have different ideas and how these ideas can be aligned. So, coordination is another trait that any leader must possess, so as to reconcile the conflicts of interest and at the same time reconcile the individual and common objectives. The other is self-confidence, trust in one's own ability and fostering mutual understanding and teamwork. That is the trait of being a self-confident leader. The other is control. This involves the management of internal conflicts and working with minimum disruption and maximum effectiveness. That means this constitutes that the leader should have that much of control to minimize the conflict and focus on the attainment of goal, which leads to maximum effectiveness and efficiency. That means the group should develop more effectiveness and efficiency while curbing maximum conflicts. Although conflict is ubiquitous, that means it is prevalent in every group, in every situation. People in a group will always have diverse ideas, diverse way to work on a particular goal, but leader reconciles all this diversity into one and tries to minimize the conflict and maximize the effectiveness. Knowledge of the business. A leader can only be effective and must have the knowledge of the whole business, that how the business is being processed, how the business can capture the market. Only when the leader possesses the complete knowledge about particular business, industry and technical matters. If only a leader can have some gaps in his knowledge regarding particular aspect of the business or the goal attainment, then ultimately the effectiveness of the leadership diminishes. And the last is representation, ability to act as a personal embodiment of the group and defend the integrity of the group by reconciling the different viewpoints of the group members. Here the personal embodiment means that the group leader has the ability to represent the group members as one and represent their thoughts before the higher authorities in a very collaborative manner, and at the same time reconcile the conflicts. So, under such circumstances, when such kind of representation is made, then it represents the effectiveness of the leader in a particular situation. So, that means whenever the leader is interacting with the group members, then a leader must possess these traits so that the interaction is fluid, it is smooth, and at the same time influence is also maintained on the group members. These are the traits which we are talking about, which is very much required to be a leader. But there are some other traits which we can discuss right now, that sometimes these traits are not very much obvious in any leader. So, the first is leadership motivation. Now, here this leadership motivation talks about the intrinsic aspect of a person as a leader, that whether a person who is a leader is working on the common goals for his own personal interest, or he is working towards the common goal for the good for the of the members. So, if we talk about leadership motivation, it is a desire to influence others to reach shared goals, and such motivation can be of two forms. Just now I mentioned, whether the leader has his own personal interest or the leader is working towards the common goal for the benefit of the group members. So, the first is the personalized power motivation. Leaders who demonstrate such motivation wish to dominate others, and the desire to do so is often reflected in an excessive concern with status. That means, leader is either working for his own personal interest, or the leader has taken up the designation only to maintain the status that he or she is the leader of the group, while not focusing much on the attainment of the goal. So, this is a personalized power motivation. That means, more personalization is focused on the leader itself. And the other is socialized power motivation. When leaders seek power as a means to achieve desired and shared goals, leaders cooperate with the members, they develop networks and coalitions, and generally work with subordinates. That means, they create more networking, they create more collaborations, so that members can work in an effective manner to reach the desired goal. And this type of leadership motivation is usually far more adaptive for organizations than the personalized power motivation. Why adaptive? That when the leader is working for the good of the group, then the leader becomes more adaptive to the requirement of the members of the group, rather than being adaptive only for his own personal attainment. So, this leadership motivation is very much intrinsic, it is insidious, it is instrumental, based on the leader's desire, that why the leadership is being followed or exercised based on his own personal motivation or personal desire, or for the betterment of the group goal. The other is focus on morality. This emphasis has meaning with authentic leadership. That means, deciding upon that what is the right thing to do and what not ought to do. So, under such circumstances, situation can declare any leader to be an authentic leader if the leader is resilient also, that bouncing back from the adversity and taking again the responsibility to move towards the attainment of common goal. So, authentic leaders are highly moral individuals who are confident, hopeful, optimistic and resilient, and highly aware of context in which they operate. That means, having the complete knowledge of the situation, having the complete knowledge of the environment in terms of adversity, in terms of threats and dangers, and then being resilient to bounce back from that adversity, and again thinking about the right action to take regarding any decision, and exercising the similar decision for the betterment of the group members. So, this is focused on morality, and because of their highly positive perspectives, authentic leaders play key role in promoting the growth and development of their subordinates, and as a result sustained performance of their organizations. Definitely, when the leader is able to bounce back and understand and anticipate the threats and dangers, then the decision making is very sharp and fast, which helps in developing the group, developing the members, and at the same time sustained performance is also achieved. Multiple domains of intelligence. Now, this dimension constitutes that a leader needs to demonstrate multiple forms of intelligence when working at group level. It is not that a leader is authentic and the group goal can be achieved, but at the same time the leader is expected to influence the members based on having vast knowledge about the business, about the situation, about the situations, about the followers or the employees, and how it is being collaborated or coordinated as one intelligence. So, social scientists have identified three types of intelligence which leaders need to exhibit towards the common goal, achievement of common goal. The first is cognitive intelligence. Leaders must be capable to integrate and interpret large amount of information as intellectual competence plays a salient role in achieving the organizational goals. That means having complete knowledge about the market, having complete knowledge about the technical aspect of the business, having complete knowledge that how a particular job has to be performed. When all these understandings are being compiled together, then the leadership becomes effective. The other is emotional intelligence. Apart from having complete intellectual competence, the leader should be able to understand his and the other members' emotions, so that the sensitivity can be maintained at their own, his or her own level and at the group level, and they are aware of people's emotional states and demonstrate the ability to connect with others. That means understanding followers' emotional state and comparing them with them makes leadership more effective. That means leaders should be empathetic to understand or step into the follower's shoes, that what situation they are going through and how it can be resolved. The other is cultural intelligence. The ability of a leader to be aware of the cultural differences between people and operate with different approaches to leadership in different countries. For example, a case of expatriation, when followers or employees move from one country to another, they experience culture shocks regarding food, clothing, lifestyle. They find difficulty in overcoming those shocks. So, to understand any follower on these ideas, then it becomes leader's responsibility to make the follower adjust with the new environment and then get the task done. So, cultural intelligence is the ability of a leader to be aware of culture differences at the workplace. People from different countries, different regions come all together at one place to work towards common goal. Those culture differences are reflected in the working style during the interaction, and how those differences can be overcome by the leader. So, cognitive, emotional and cultural intelligence are the three domains which social scientists have considered important or salient in making a leader highly effective. Next comes the leadership styles. If we continue to a length on discussing about leadership style, which definitely we are going to do that in future also. So, there can be n number of leadership styles which social scientists have actually identified in OB literature. But actually those leadership styles also have some common basis, and on a common base social scientists and OB professionals have talked about three types of basic leadership style: the autocratic, the democratic and the laissez-faire leadership style. So, the behavioral pattern that a leader adopts to achieve the common goal of the group is known as style of leadership. That means situation plays a major role. It is not that in one situation only autocratic leadership is more effective, and maybe in another situation only the democratic leadership is very effective. It is actually a leader's adaptability and flexibility to identify that in a particular situation which kind of leadership is more effective. So, OB scientists have talked about the behavioral patterns that a leader adopts is known as the style of leadership, and there are three important leadership styles. The first is autocratic leadership. It is also known as authoritarian leadership, where the leader takes the decision in a unilateral fashion. That means the leader do not consult the followers and take all the decisions on his own. There is no participation of the members in decision making process, and it is characterized in a way that the leader determines the policies and procedures without consulting the group members. That means there is more hold on the process, or that how the group will function. It is completely dependent on the decision of the autocratic leader. So, the leader adopting an autocratic style does not give freedom to his members to influence others. That means the leader only takes the whole space to influence the group members and get the task done. So, in other words, it tends to create highly structured and rigid work environment, because when the decision making is unilateral, then ultimately the environment becomes rigid, because members have no freedom to take any decision on their own. So, based on this leadership style also has its own drawbacks and benefits, because every leadership and no leadership is ineffective. It is effective only when it is being exercised in a particular definite situation. So, if we are talking about autocratic leadership style, then if it has some drawbacks, then it has some benefits also based on the situation. So, let us first talk about the drawbacks of this leadership style, that is autocratic leadership style. It discourages group input because members have no freedom to take any decision on their own. As a result, since there is so much of pressure on the members to work on the directives of the autocratic leader, it actually diminishes an individual's morale and motivation, and at the same time productivity, because there is fear, there is pressure to perform in a particular manner, and this diminishes the level of motivation of the followers. And more importantly, that it impairs or it actually inhibits or ignores creative solutions and expertise from subordinates. Even if any member is holding some expertise, but when the decision making is unilateral, then it inhibits the creativity, because members do not get that platform to showcase their creativity or their talent to resolve any problem or reach the goal in a very different manner. So, these are the drawbacks. The other, at the same time, it has some benefits also under some circumstances. For instance, this leadership style is useful when an employee is new on the job and have no experience in decision making, and at the same time performing without any active supervision. Any person who is new on the job is considered to be a naive employee. Now, to train any employee, then definitely, or make the new employee understand the whole system, then clear directives are being given to that new employee to understand the whole system. And to understand the whole system, that how the system works, then under such circumstances autocratic leadership style is very effective. The other advantage is that it increases the efficiency and leads to quicker results if there is any emergency or crisis, when the decision must be taken immediately. Now, if some crisis has occurred in the organization and members have no experience in decision making, under such situation autocratic leader plays very important role to take the decision immediately and exercise the decision to overcome the crisis and become more resilient. Resilient means bouncing back from the adversity. And the last is that it is useful when employees are not interested in taking responsibility and perform better under clear and directive and detailed directives. When the group size increases, then roles also increases, responsibilities also increases. Sometimes what happens, members develop a tendency that they tend to shed off their responsibility onto others. Now, this leads to disruption in the organizational processes and group tends to suffer losses. To overcome this kind of problems, autocratic leader is very effective, because the autocratic leader tend to dictate or assign the roles and responsibilities in a manner that the leader have pressure to perform on those, based on those directives itself. So, this is an autocratic leadership style which has its own drawbacks and benefits. The other is democratic leadership style or participative or shared leadership style. As the term implies, members have full freedom to participate in decision making. This is the most important feature of this kind of leadership style, that members participate in the decision making process and every member has the opportunity to showcase their ideas, voice their opinions on a common platform and exchange ideas and are encouraged for open discussion. When there is so much of openness and freedom in the environment, then actually it motivates employee to perform at their best. So, when so much of freedom is there, members also experience equality and there is free flow of ideas, and the democratic leader is still there to offer guidance and control. So, this is the feature of democratic leadership style. At the same time, this leadership encourages collaboration, engagement and creativity, because when the environment is freedom and members are participating in decision making process, that means there is higher decision latitude, members experience more engagement and more opportunity for showcasing their creativity. At the same time, this leadership is effective, is one of the most effective style of leadership and leads to higher productivity, motivation and contribution for increased group morale. Definitely when there is more freedom, people are more free to work in their own way, which actually engages them in their job. They are more attracted towards their job to perform well. But at the same time, again, that this leadership style also has its own drawbacks and benefits. The drawbacks are that there are communication failures. When people are free to voice their own opinion and communicate their ideas in a free manner, then sometimes the communication becomes very much derailed, in the sense that the communication process becomes disruptive. In one time, communication is flowing to one end, but maybe it is not expanding to the other directions of the organization. This leads to communication failure. The other is poor decision making by unskilled groups. Sometimes under this kind of leadership, members who do not have experience or not skilled in a particular job and still they have freedom to voice their own opinion, then they try to execute any decision which is not effective and which mars the performance of the group at the organizational level. The minority or individual opinions overeating. Sometimes some minority members tend to get ignored because they do not also get chance to express their own opinions or freedom to perform in their own, and they are being overridden. And the last is that it leads to potential security issues. When there is no streamlining, that how decision making process has to be initiated within the group itself under this kind of leadership style, that is democratic leadership style, then security issues are also is one of the biggest problem in this type of leadership, because members are so free that they sometimes take the liberty to share the secret information to the external sources, and it is difficult to identify. At the same time, there are certain benefits as well, that more ideas and creative solutions are being fostered. Group members are more committed to change, because when they are accepting the change, when the leader is accepting the change, then the members also reciprocate by accepting the change from the leaders itself. There is high productivity and satisfaction, and improved group morale and fostered confidence, cooperation and loyalty. When there is intense interaction, proximal interactions between the leader and the members, they generate more confidence over each other, they are more encouraged to cooperate and form coalitions and show more loyalty to each other. So, these are the advantages and disadvantages of democratic leadership style. And the last is laissez-faire or free-rein leadership. This leadership is also known as delegative leadership, where the leader are hands off and allow group members to make decisions. That means members gets hands on experience to perform the task based on their own created guidelines and system. Leaders are there, but they hand over all the responsibility and freedom to work in their own way and take the also responsibility of the failures onto themselves. So, this is a laissez-faire leadership style. So, where the members are free and avoid using power, and the group members establish their own work standards to attain the goal. The most important thing is that the leaders try to avoid using power. Maybe in democratic and autocratic leadership style, power is being exercised at one point, but in this kind of leadership style, that is delegative leadership style, the leader tries not to use power at any point of the group when the group is performing, because the group has the freedom to establish their own standards, work standards and perform. So, it is also helpful for leaders to recognize when this style should be best utilized, such as with team members who are experts at what they do. Suppose any leader or any organization decides to manufacture a new product, then how that product will be launched and manufactured, then that requires some specific skill to get or cash on such specific skill. Under such situation, the leader can follow a laissez-faire leadership style, where he delegates all the power and freedom to the expertise, so that the new product can be manufactured and launched in the market in a very effective manner. Because the idea is that if new product has to be manufactured and launched, then only an expertise knows the market details, that how, when and how that product can be launched, and how the marketability or marketing of that product will capture the market in what capacity. So, this is where the situation is, then laissez-faire leadership style plays a very important role. But what are the drawbacks and benefits of this kind of leadership style? So, there is lack of role clarity. That means when there is no exercise of control on the members, then sometimes members become confused about what role they have to play to work towards the common goal. So, there is lack of role clarity among the group members. Also, members receive little or no guidance that might also lead to role ambiguity. When there is no guidance provided by the leader, even the members fail to understand that what is the meaning of their job, what is the meaning of their designation, what is the meaning of the role they have to play. Under such circumstances, role clarity and role ambiguity plays a negative role in this kind of leadership style. The other is poor involvement of the group, as the leaders are often seen as uninvolved and withdrawn, which can lead to lack of cohesiveness within the group. When there is no monitoring of the group members, then sometimes group tends to lose the cohesiveness of the group and they tend to decide everything on their own. There is no synchronization that how the group will function. Under such circumstances, the leaders, because they are not involved completely, this actually leads to reduced cohesiveness of the group. And the other drawback is low accountability, as leaders avoid responsibility for the group's failure and blame members of the team for not completing tasks or living up to the expectations. Since the leader is not using his or her power and at the same time the leader is not monitoring the functioning of the group, then the leader also blames the group members only for not getting success in achieving the goal. So, although leader is there, but still leader is not playing his or her role in a very affluent manner, then this becomes drawback of this kind of leadership style. But what are the benefits? It encourages personal growth, as the leaders are hands off in their approach and employees have a chance to be hands on. Getting the job on hands and working on your own at your own standards, then it actually leads to personal growth, because the person becomes more confident and sure about his own procedures. This leadership style creates an environment that facilitates growth and development. The other is the freedom given to employees can encourage creativity and innovation. When employees have hands-on job, then they are free to perform their task in a very creative and innovative manner. So, any expertise is there, he has his own way to take the decision that how to launch the product, how to do marketing for the product. Now, how that marketing will be done will actually unleash the creativity of that expertise. So, this is the benefit of laissez-faire leadership style. And the last is that it allows for faster decision making, as employees have the autonomy to make their own decisions. Since there is no procedure followed in this leadership style, so decision making is very fast and it is autonomous. So, these are the drawbacks and benefits of three types of leadership, that is autocratic, participative and laissez-faire or delegative leadership style. So, rest we will continue in the next session. Thank you.